So to begin this session, I'd like to introduce His Excellency Hassan Ali Joho, who will deliver the Chair's keynote address. Your Excellency.
I come from a city where at some point we had open centers of radicalization. I come from a city where, as a governor and a leader of that city, could not enter certain mosques to be able to pray when I wanted to. But here we are 2 years after we rolled out specific programs that we could now sustain peace and tranquility at the grassroots level. We were able to recapture our mosques and now use the centers of prayers and resourcing and sharing of a narrative that is pro-people. I want to say the importance of counter-narrative is that you do not leave the ideology that is one-sided to continue to capture and escalate emotions of the young people in our cities. We offer an alternative narrative because we believe that for far too long many cities chose to ignore and allowed the indoctrination of the young people. And many of us have assumed for far too long that probably by the use of guns or security agencies alone would be able to help us to secure our cities. But I want to tell you, in Mombasa we had a mosque, a very famous mosque. This mosque were openly sending young boys to Somalia and probably come back to hit at us even back home. At some point the national government through the police force decided to close the mosque. So therefore there was closure of the mosque, and therefore unfortunately for those that understand Islam, you realize when certain things are done, what only happens is that you have escalated emotions, and therefore those that believe in the cause or do not would also seize the opportunity to share their anger. So I want to tell you, we succeeded because we realized as leaders we could not do it on our own. We needed civil society, we needed the community around the mosques, and we needed also leadership across the board. I hear this notion that every speaker that comes forward says that we need to have Muslim leaders or moderate leaders to speak. I think we also need to look at the other side of the coin. You also must remember the leadership of churches and mosques are basically driven or are followed by captive audience. It is very rare that somebody would stand up to seek clarification or to seek or to ask a question. But I know very well political leadership can and indeed have a much larger following. And it does not matter what religion you come from. You only need to understand humanity. And that way you should be able to engage and challenge anyone who speaks indoctrination. So for us, we took the route of ensuring we brought leaders from all faiths together, led by the political leadership, because I think we can engage more and we have a larger following than, unfortunately, than the moderate religious leaders or the so-called moderate imams. You engage the community, give them the challenges, give them the basic information. Civil society, very critical in Mombasa, and I want to recognize the presence of one of the few civil society leader, Hussein Khalid, who is here and is going to be a panelist tomorrow. He facilitated for us, between us and the radicalized boys, to have an engagement. And that was necessary because we know very well, in many instances, because of lack of opportunities, hopelessness, lack of employment, no young man who is nearly indoctrinated or radicalized or is in the process of radicalization would want to engage government directly. So for us to encourage civil society to play a critical role, because that for us really acts as a bridge that connects us and the young people. So I want to urge mayors and governors and political leaders here today Counter-narrative is very critical, and it must be driven by everybody. There is absolutely no way you can sit back and tell us that the imams are talking. We all must talk. It doesn't matter whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're whatever faith, whether you're an atheist, it does not matter. What matters is the respect to humanity. And therefore, for me, it is important that each one of us picks on the conversation on counter-narrative. The other important aspect that we need to ask ourselves, these young people, where do they engage? How do you have someone seated in Mombasa, someone seated in Brussels for that matter, to be able to communicate with somebody from Syria? Clearly, there's a strong following on social media. And then, for us, we have to make a choice. We do not need to reinvent the wheel, in my own opinion, is to go and tackle the issues where they are. And one very important point is that it is time that we use all avenues. Mainstream media, most importantly because it captures the mind of the young people, social media. We should be very active. We should be able or allowed to create platforms for the so-called returnees, the rehabilitated youths, guys who have been de-radicalized, to be able to tell their stories. We should be able to create platforms of communication between the parents who have lost their children and the process of indoctrination. We know, as much as some of us are pained, that people who are pained the most are the mothers who have lost their children to go to war and taking away humanity, taking away life. But do we engage them? Do we give them that opportunity to share with us their pain so that we can come in and help? What is the process if you see that a child is headed towards the wrong direction? Then what are the avenues that you could take? And I want to tell you, I have personally engaged with some young men who have gone to Somalia, for example, and came back. And I can stand here without fear or favor and tell you that there is no way you can convince me, or even to imagine you can tell me that Al-Shabaab or Al-Qaeda is a Muslim organization. It is not. Because when they come to take away a life, they don't ask you for your religion, your citizenship, your race. When they come with the suicide bomb, they don't interact with you. One of the young boys who went to Somalia came back and told me, one of the reasons as to why I chose to come back, I was recruited and I was told that if I went there, I'm going to go to the closest gates of heaven. I will be given an opportunity to say hello to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ on my resurrection. I will be married off to 70 virgins and I will choose 70 people to go to heaven with. So a 19-year-old gets excited, imagining that if I go there, be able to pick my girlfriend, my cousins, and therefore he easily goes and gets trained and start taking away lives. But one question that came to his mind and made him run away from Al-Shabaab is the fact that he knew very basic knowledge that Islam tells you, for you, under whatever circumstances, you have to pray 5 times a day. You have to read the Quran. So we have a situation where these young people, all they know, all they are trained to do is how to hold an AK-47 and throw a grenade and suicide bombing. So this young man asked himself, I have been in Al-Shabaab for the last this many months. I have not prayed a single day. Not a single member of where we are stands up to pray 5 times. So how can I then call myself a Muslim, believing in a very strong Muslim movement, so that when I kill, I go closer to heaven? So when he got back, we used him, to talk to the others. Say, you know what? It's not what you think. You're actually taken in basically because of the thin line between poverty social injustices, and therefore you've easily lured into this movement believing you're on the right course. So I want us to be cognizant of the fact that never imagine that anybody will do this for you. This is about us. It is our problem. We all have to deal with it by all means, by all possibilities, and by all standards. So therefore, Strong Cities Network for you, it is a place where you can have a continued conversation, share ideas, share experiences, and most importantly, agree on the way forward together. As much as some of the issues may be seen to be local issues, they have a global effect. I want to end here, because I know there are other honorable speakers that I'm looking forward to listen to. But I want us, when it is possible, to network, to engage, and share our experiences. Thank you very much, and God bless you.